Good morning, my fellow YouTubers. So, as some of you may know, some of you may not know, I follow MMA. I'm a follower of combat sports. Actually, I've been watching boxing since I was a young kid. My father used to watch a lot of boxing back in the day on back when it was boxing on CBS and that kind of thing. I've seen like a lot of the greats box, and I've witnessed a lot of great fights. But I've gotten into the UFC quite a bit. Since actually, I started watching UFC back in probably the early days, back in the early '90s. I remember all the hype surrounding UFC one, and I remember thinking, that I just remember thinking how exciting it was that they were going to have a competition that was showcasing all of the different martial arts facing off against each other, kind of trying to see which one was the best. And of course, it's morphed since then into all of these guys who are experts in multiple disciplines and become the great spectacle that it is today. Anyway, as some of you may know, Jon Bones Jones recently made his triumphant return to the UFC after being suspended for a year for anti-doping violations. He was immediately granted a title fight against Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight title, which he had unfortunately been stripped of back when he was originally suspended because of drug violations and hitting someone with a car. Anyway, it looked like he had his life all cleaned up. He came back. He looked fantastic. He had a really grueling, great fight with Daniel Cormier. The two of them were very evenly matched, and one head kick pretty much sealed it all. And then, of course, shortly afterwards, the news came crashing down that there was a potential anti-doping violation against Jon Jones. So I'm very, very disappointed because it really looked like he was going to be the redemption story. The guy that came back and cleaned his act up and came back and became a great champion again and held his title for a long time. Possibly moved up into heavyweight, which he really easily could have done because he's got the size, he's got the power, he's got the skill. The guy is honest. I mean, regardless of anything, the guy is pound for pound one of the greatest fighters to ever step into the octagon. And unfortunately, his legacy will be tainted forever by doping violations, by steroid abuse. So, however this spills out, I think he's already lost in the court of public opinion, which unfortunately that's usually the case. Is that people don't wait to find out whether things are true or not. They hear the suggestion and automatically they think the worst. I'm going to wait to hear the actual results, but I think unfortunately in this case that it's probably true that that there were, whether or not he actually did, they're gonna when they come out with a potential anti-doping violation, I don't think I've ever heard of a case where it didn't actually get proven that there was a doping violation. Not necessarily that they actually willfully acted that way, but that some sort of circumstance happens, like the most recent one with Jones, where he said that he was using some sort of a male enhancement thing that was a tainted source. But regardless of what happens, I think that Jon Jones's career in the UFC at the very least, I think is over. He may pop up in other organizations, but I think his career in the UFC is dead, which is very unfortunate. And it's especially unfortunate to hear because the man had so much talent and it's wasted. You know, I'm disappointed, disgusted. So I guess they're going to be giving the they'll be when it all pans out, if it does end up being the actual him being suspended. They're saying he'd be suspended for 4 years, and I doubt he'd be back after that. But if it does end up happening that way, then I guess that they're going to giving the belt back to Cormier, and he will continue to reign as light heavyweight champion. Which, let's be honest, the man deserves it because the only person who has ever beaten Daniel Cormier is Jon Jones. The man was just a destructive force in the heavyweight ranks. He was completely undefeated. He's dominated everybody in the light heavyweight division. And regardless of what I think of the man's character, the guy is a phenomenal fighter. The guy really is a great fighter. And I got to give props to him. Anyway, I just wanted to put this out there. I wanted to see if what you guys' thoughts are on this, if any of you watch the UFC. Hopefully, you guys are hopefully you guys are fans like I am and realize that these guys are real legitimate athletes, and that the UFC is going to become really big in a very short period of time. And in particular, I think after the McGregor Mayweather fight, I think that there's going to be a lot more eyes turned on to mixed martial arts and on the UFC in particular. And I think that that organization is going to grow in leaps and bounds. And I think that that was what Dana White was really hoping for when he agreed to let this happen. So I hope you guys all have a great day, and I hope you keep it dirty side down. If you like what I do, please like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends. There's a little notification bell down in the corner here somewhere, and if you click that, you'll receive notifications when I post new videos or when I go on live content. When I go on a live stream. Anyway, again, hope you guys have a great week. Keep it dirty side down, and have a productive day. I'll see you guys all in the next video.